We are going to talk about wildlife photography, safaris, and anything and everything related to it.
Yeah.
There is no set agenda for today. We would just go with the flow. We would talk about capturing the images. We would talk about post-processing. We would also take questions from anybody who would like to ask anything.
Yep, sounds good.
So it is exactly 4 o'clock now, UK time. We would just wait for a few more viewers to join, if that's okay.
No problem. Fine.
In the meantime, those who have joined, very welcome, very warm welcome to all of you. We are waiting for some more viewers to join. In the meantime, if you would like to go and grab your camera, that would be really super handy. If you want to make a drink for yourself and come back in 2 minutes time, that is fine as well. Or grab a bottle of beer. I know everybody's at home.
True. And it's nice and sunny, so why not?
Yeah, exactly. So for some of the viewers who are in US, this is, I think, morning, and from Asian continent, it's gonna be around late evening, around 8:30, 9 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah.
Hi, Utkarsh. Utkarsh has joined us from Mumbai, India. Utkarsh is an old friend of mine who is a great musician and a very big lover of wildlife and photography.
Oh, fabulous. Hello.
Let me introduce Rachel. Utkarsh, me and Rachel, we met at Wildlife Safari Show in Harrogate, and we both were exhibiting over there, showcasing our work, talking to people about safaris and their next destination, and in terms of how photographic safari guide can help us to take your photography to the next level. And that's how we came in contact, and we are doing a Facebook Live. We did a podcast as well for Rachel's podcast series. If you want to talk about it, Rachel.
Yes, started a podcast to try and get some more people like yourself together, so you could talk about what you do and where you take people. And I've actually moved you up, so your podcast will be number 10. So number 8 went out this morning. So in 2 weeks' time, yours will be on, and it's very nice. It's a nice interview.
Thank you.
So I'll definitely send you all the information when it's ready.
Okay. So just in terms of, let's talk about photographic gear, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah.
So when you go to these all exotic trips, what camera gear and what lenses do you tend to carry with you, and why?
Okay, yeah. Well, it can very much depend on where you're going, where you're going to spend a lot of your time. So, for instance, some areas are quite vast and quite open. So you might need a longer lens, maybe something 400, 500 plus. Whereas if you're going somewhere that's a bit more bushy and there's more trees and you can't zoom as far, you might be able to get to the animals might be a lot closer. So it might be better to have a shorter lens, so maybe 70 to 200. So it does depend on where I'm going for the trip. But I would say normally somewhere from 200 to 500 should be able to do most things. Maybe a bit wider if you get very close to the animals.
Yes. From the lens choices, it sounds like you are on the Nikon side when you mentioned 200 and 500.
Yeah, I am a Nikon user for now. I know we're going to talk about mirrorless later, but for now, yeah, I'm on Nikon. just because I have been for a long time. I don't particularly that they're better or worse than anything else. Just that's how I built my kit from when I was younger, so I've stuck with it for now. But yeah, I normally take 2 bodies if I can, and I'll have one body with a wider angle and then one with a telephoto zoom.
Yes, that's how we would like the setup to be, because as most of the viewers may already know, that there is hardly any time in the field to change lenses or change bodies.
Exactly.
So we have to ideally carry 2 full frame bodies, one with a telephoto lens and one with a bit wider one when you want to grab the habitat shots.
Yes, and also it just saves getting dust. You don't really want to be changing lenses in the field because normally it's quite dusty out on safari, so just minimizes getting dust into the body as well.
That's right. So when it comes to telephoto lenses, the longer ones, which one do you prefer, like prime ones or zoom ones?
I think if you can afford a prime, that's nice. But if you can't, then there's nothing wrong with a zoom. It all depends on your budget. I think is a main player when it comes to lenses. But for myself, I like to have a zoom because I like to be able to work my way through the different look that you get. Whereas with when you're stuck on a prime, then you are stuck. So yeah, I do like a zoom myself. Yeah, how about you?
I prefer the zoom as well, because with the same lens, you can get maybe one photo at 500 mm, the other one at 400, 350, 300, right up to 200. So you can if the animal starts walking towards you and you are on a prime lens, we are stuck.
Exactly, yeah.
Whereas with the zoom ones, we can just go retract a bit and still keep taking shots.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think unless you're going to have a lot of time sat with the same animals and you've got plenty of time to set up and you know where they're going to be, then maybe a prime then would be okay. But I think for general safari, a zoom is a lot more handy.
Yes, there is only one exception to that, which is usually in the Central Indian tiger photography. For that, usually tigers are a bit shy animals. They are not like lions who would stay in a big pride and just chill out. So they sometimes come close, but they also try to maintain a safe distance from the tourists and photographers. So in that case, primes can be very handy when you can couple the prime lens with a teleconverter.
Yes, yeah.
So
I think.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna explain for the benefit of beginners photographers what a teleconverter is. So it is just a small tube which sits between your lens and the camera body, and effectively it can double or multiply your capability of your lens. So for say 400 mm lens with a 2x teleconverter, 2 times teleconverter can become like a 800 mm, not exactly 800 mm.
Yes, yeah. I think as well, if you're a beginner, it's good to just be aware that when you add on a teleconverter, you will lose some light.
Yes, that's true.
So there is also a little bit of you need a bit of practice with them as well.
I think the word is compromise, and in photography, everything is a compromise.
Always, unfortunately, that's true. Yeah, but I think if somebody is looking at getting a zoom and a teleconverter, then just having a bit of patience with it, learning how to use your ISOs and your shutter speeds, yeah, it can be quite fun as well.
Having said that, I myself own a prime lens 500 f4 from Nikon side,
Okay.
And I also have the cheaper younger brother, 200, 500.
Yeah.
So the difference in quality is quite marginal, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm on a vehicle, on a safari vehicle, I don't mind taking the 500 f4. But if somebody
Okay.
wants to go hiking with the 500 f4,
Yeah.
it's no way practical.
No, no, not at all.
Yeah,
Yeah. You have to think about where you're going and how you're getting there as well, and how much gear you really want to take, and if you have a
yeah,
tripod or not as well.
yes,
That can be a factor.
correct.
Yeah. So, do
So
you take anything else out with you in the field?
yes, there are some small items I would always carry with me.
Yeah.
One is uh, cleaning kit,
Yes.
because in certain wildlife destination it can be very dusty, and once you return from safari, the very first thing you want to do is get the dust off your camera and lens.
Yes. Exactly. Do you go out and buy a special cleaning kit? Because I've kind of made a makeshift one myself. Or do you have a proper one?
Um, I I just use a blower and a
Yeah.
soft cleaning cloth, and apart from that, I tend not to touch the camera. If you use it properly, and if you use a good bag while carrying your camera and body, as you know, in the vehicle also, you can save it from all the dust.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I had a Canon 5D Mark IV for a couple of years, and just before going on a big trip, I took it to a service center just to get it clean. I just wanted to
Okay.
make sure that it's squeaky clean before I take the
Yeah.
photos. And they said, well, you know what? There is no dust at all inside.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's impressive. That's very good.
Uh,
I like to use I don't know if you've heard of a buff. It's like a running, they use them for running, and it's like a little well, they have many uses, but you normally put it there.
yes, that's
Um
right.
they're also very handy to put over your cameras
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
very easy to whip off as well. So I like getting a couple of them and putting them around my cameras and my lenses. That
Yeah,
can help, especially if you're on a budget. They're like £4 or £5 from a sports shop,
yeah,
so that's quite good.
exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
Um, I also tend to carry 4 to 5 batteries for each camera.
Yes.
Some may call it a bit excessive, but I know that when I'm going to all these remote locations, and if the power is cut off for some reason, I don't
Yes.
want to be in a position where I have the camera, I have the lens, I have spent all the money to go on the trip. I have clients with me, and all I cannot do is take photographs because I have run out of battery power.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's better to be safe than sorry in
Hmm.
situations like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the same. I'm a little bit excessive when it comes to backing up. I normally have my
Yeah.
laptop and I have
Yes.
my external hard drive, and I don't touch the memory cards either till I get home. So they're normally on 3 locations
Wow.
until I get home. So yeah.
Well, these days, the number of pictures I take in the field is getting less and less because I look for special moments and then only I click.
Yeah.
Whereas earlier in the photography, I used to come back with loads and loads of pictures. But
Yeah.
now we know what exactly we are looking for, the special moments, the interactions, the heartwarming moments, let's say that.
Yeah. So with that, what sort of thought process do you go through when you see an animal or a bird? What do you think about before you actually press the shutter?
That's a really good question, because we talked about all the technical aspects, and we are
Yeah.
now coming towards the creative side of photography.
Mm.
So I always tend to look for a moment which has the potential to evoke emotions in the viewer's mind. We were following a pride of lions, and the lioness had small cubs. I was particularly interested because they were quite playful and they were jumping and licking the lioness, and they were doing all sort of they were just being lion cubs.
Yeah.
So there was a moment when the lioness started walking, and the little cub jumped and grabbed her, like the lioness's neck, and tried to kiss his or her mother. And that was a moment I thought, wow, that was really cool. And when I'm looking at the animals, I do not look, I only look through the viewfinder.
Okay.
Some may call it excessive, but if I look outside and then try to jump into the viewfinder, probably the moment is gone.
It's gone,
so I always look through the viewfinder with one eye open on the other side, and I always shoot in continuous mode, but not like a machine gun. Although my camera is configured for continuous high shooting, I just press it for a few moments. So even if it's pressed for 2 seconds, it would only capture that moment and not 500 shots.
Yes, yeah. I think that's an important point, because you get home, you've got to look through them all. You don't want to look through 500 rubbish shots that you don't want. So it's good if you can get used to being a bit more selective with when you press the shutter button.
And I think before the camera takes the picture, our mind has to take the picture of what we're really looking for, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So true. And you've got to work out what you want it to look like. That's what I can get my clients to think about. What's important? Are you trying to capture the motion, or are you trying to capture the emotion, which you might want to do more with your f-stops than your shutter speed? So you have to go through the thought process first before pressing the button. Yeah, definitely.
The other thoughts are usually when I look for interaction between two different species of animals or birds.
Okay. Sorry, my WhatsApp is going off.
Sorry. So, for example, the oxpecker sitting on a giraffe or a zebra.
Yes.
Or a tension between a hyena facing a lioness. So that kind of photography which evokes
like a
interaction
story.
And a story, yes.
Yeah. I think that's something I really enjoy looking for as well. I think one of my favorite types, it doesn't always work, but my favorite type is to capture the animal in its environment, to really show where it's living.
Correct.
And sometimes it doesn't work, it all depends on what the background's saying, where the light's falling. But I really enjoy showing the vastness of where these animals live. I think it's really lovely.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of habitat shots they are always preferred on a canvas in living room. People go for large prints.
Yeah, they do. They make you think a bit more about everything rather than just the animal. There's so much more to see. That's what I enjoy about those kind of shots. Yeah. That's cool. So I don't know if you want me to answer this one, but we're talking about competitions. Do you ever enter them or not? And why?
Well, I do regularly participate in Wildlife Photographer of the Year.
Okay, yep.
And Nature's Best Photography from the Smithsonian Institute in US.
Yep. And how do you find there's a lot of preparation you have to go through to enter those?
Actually, I have to sort a lot of photos before putting them into competition, and only look for the ones which have that emotional value that can evoke some emotion in the viewer or has something special. So here I would like to talk about a photo of mine where a leopard has dragged a kill on a tree.
Okay.
And the leopard has started eating the kill from the hips, and after his belly is full, he has gone on another branch and just lazing around over there.
Yeah.
If you look at the kill, there is no damage on the front side. The head is intact, the entire body is intact. Only the rear part has been eaten. So if you look at the picture, it looks like as if the leopard and the carcass are just two friends hanging on the same tree.
Okay.
It's only when you zoom a little bit then you realize, oh, that has been killed, and there is the flesh.
Yeah, it's not. It shouldn't be in the tree. So is that
yeah,
one you entered into a competition?
Yes, that was shortlisted in Wildlife Photographer of the Year final rounds.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah.
Very good. Did you go for black and white or color?
I overexposed the background just to get the subjects clearly lit.
Yeah.
And it was a color photograph.
Okay. Yeah. Very nice.
But only because, thanks. I kept it color only because there was no lot of blood or anything. It wasn't looking gory or anything. So
yeah,
it was like a very calm scene where just two animals hanging on the tree.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, cool. What year was that? Was it quite a while ago or?
Last year.
Oh, okay. Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Very nice. Lovely.
How about you? Do you enter competitions?
I've got a funny kind of feeling about entering personally. I don't think they do me any good. I can get quite I find that I end up shooting, or I end up trying to find pictures that I've taken that I think will win, rather than pictures that I enjoy taking, if that makes sense. And for me, I don't want my photography to become about that, so I prefer not to. However, if there's a competition that's going to support some sort of conservation effort, then I might just chuck one in just for the fun of it. So I just entered the image of the 5 cheetah boys, the Tanabora boys in the Masai Mara. I put that in for the new Remembering Cheetahs book, which was a competition, and you know, it's like £10 and the money goes towards the conservation. So I don't mind doing it for that. That's okay. And I'm not going to stress if I win or not. It doesn't really matter. It's more about just supporting the book. So but I do think if you really want to improve your photography, then I think entering competitions, it does definitely push you. So that there is benefit to it. It's just, it depends, I think, what sort of personality you have and where you want to go with your photography. Because I think once you start entering big competitions, it's not just a hobby anymore. You are trying to break into a niche, and you have to kind of guess what the judges want if you stand a chance of winning. That's my philosophy anyway. Might be a bit cynical, but yeah.
I mean, for people who are getting started with wildlife photography, the suggestion is they should look at all the images which are winning in the photography competitions. That would give them a kind of inspiration, basically. Of course, everybody's style is different, everybody's taste is different. But when you look at somebody else's work, then you think it's a kind of, aha, that's another way of capturing it.
Yes. Yeah.
Some people like to play with slow shutter speed. Some people are very creative with like zoom burst, that kind of things, just to show the motion. So it gives a different perspective rather than just a normal still picture.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I think Yeah, I mean, I spend an awful lot of time looking at other people's work. I really enjoy looking at other photographers' work. I think that's one thing Instagram is really good for.
Yes.
It does inspire you, and it does also help you to discover new places.
Yeah.
When you look at people's images, you can see that some areas give you a certain look.
Yeah.
The habitat is different from other areas,
Mm.
which I really enjoy looking at and finding out about. So that's another good thing you can do if you're a beginner wanting to
Yes.
improve your photography. Nilesh,
Mm-hmm.
can I just ask you, are you getting people's comments? Because mine's got stuck. Are you able
Um,
to?
I have last comment from Mario. Wild
Oh,
photo
yeah.
safari. I also
Okay.
prefer zoom lens. It's it's a
Okay.
good lens overall, especially when driving around in the park. You never know
Oh, yeah.
what you encounter and how far from the car they are. Prime lenses are better.
Okay.
Mario also says zoom lenses are more versatile and
Yeah. Okay, cool. As long as we're not missing anybody's questions or anything,
yeah,
that's good. No, I think
backup is
there's no more
important.
questions.
Yeah,
Oh, they've
we
come through now. Some others have come through. So, okay, great, cool.
okay.
So maybe I think you talked a bit about camera gear, and
Yes.
maybe you could say, do you use any customization? Have you set up any buttons on your camera to do certain things that you like?
Yes, I'm a big fan of back button focus.
Mm-hmm.
So pros who are used to back button focus, um, they know how useful it is. For the
Mm-hmm.
beginners, let me explain. When we press the shutter button halfway through, it focuses on the subject, and when you
Yeah.
fully press it, it takes the image. But when we decouple these two functions from the shutter button and assign the focusing on the back button, the only job left for the shutter button is to take a picture. It
Yeah.
does not focus when you press it halfway through. So if one button can do two tasks, why the hell we want to separate them? So,
Yeah.
so the easy answer is when we separate the focusing part, once we have focused on the animal and we keep the button pressed, as long as we are keeping that back button pressed, your focus is not going to leave that subject.
Yes.
So that wherever the subject moves, you are continuously following it, assuming that you are in AI servo or AFC mode. So your subject will get followed everywhere, and you can only take pictures with the shutter button.
Yeah. I think
It's not everybody. Sorry,
no, go for it. Sorry. I thought you'd stop. Just carry on.
I was gonna give a word of caution that it's not everybody's cup of tea. Some people love it, some people hate it.
Yeah.
Uh, it also takes a while to get used to it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I personally don't really use it that much on large animals, but I think it's quite invaluable with birds.
Yes.
Personally, I think it's very, very hard to follow a bird and
Yeah.
keep it in focus without using your back button focus. So I think if you are into photographing birds, then you should definitely at least give it a try and
Mhm.
see. Um, yeah. Do you have any other buttons set up, like quick buttons? Um, I know when you're using a pro camera, they generally have all the buttons you need.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
just where your thumb is.
Exactly.
So I mean, I like to have a quick button for my ISO,
Yeah.
um, which I know some maybe the cheaper cameras they don't have that
Yeah.
that button. Are there any buttons like that you enjoy?
I think that is the advantage of the pro bodies like D5 or D850, that most frequently used functions, they're already present outside the menu system
That's
as a
right.
dedicated button. So you
Yeah.
don't fumble with, oh, I need to move from this to that. You know, anybody who has practiced well with their muscle memory, they would know where their ISO button is, where their shutter speed is, where their aperture is.
Yeah.
And trust me, it's not important how many camera functions, I've seen some people getting really obsessive with terminologies and technologies and this and that.
Yeah.
But when we look at a good pictures, do we really ask, "Oh, what was your shutter speed? Why did you use that such a high ISO speed?"
Exactly.
It's about emotions and not technical aspects.
It
That
is.
is
Yeah.
something I would like to stress on.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I think people can get really bogged down
Yeah.
with that. And I think, I don't know how you feel, but I seem to get a lot of people asking me, how high should my ISO be? And really, the answer is it's as high as it needs to be. It,
Yes.
I can't tell you what it's going to be for any given thing that you're shooting, but don't be scared to push them, because the new technology for ISOs is fantastic. And like you say, no one's
Exactly.
going to look at your picture and say, well, you used too high ISO.
Yeah.
So really, it's about being more confident and
Mhm.
experimenting with your kit and seeing how far you can push it.
Yes.
Um, yeah,
You have brought a very good point that the modern ISO technology and especially on full frame bodies, that
yeah,
is amazing. 6,000 ISO, 6,400, 12,000. I mean, just with the flick of a button, you can clean the image. And
yeah,
what would you prefer? Do you prefer a slightly grainy image but with high emotional value, or do you prefer a clean image but there is no emotion to that? So
yeah,
it's a choice.
exactly. Yeah, and I think as well, when I shot in film, when I
Mhm.
started, I was
Mhm.
used to seeing grain, and I quite
Yeah,
like it. It can
yeah,
really add to an image. So I think sometimes it's nice to have a grainy image, especially in black and white.
yeah.
Like you say, with some motion, it's not always a bad thing.
No, no.
Do you
um,
do you use auto ISO? I mean, I personally don't, but do you?
yes, I do.
You do?
Uh,
Okay.
Funnily enough, I do. I use manual mode with auto ISO.
Okay. Why do
So,
you like that combination?
okay, $1 million question. Uh, so, with manual mode and auto ISO, um, I have full control with manual mode, what shutter speed I would like and
Mhm.
what aperture I'm going to choose. And if I have already chosen my shutter speed and my ISO, let's say f4, I want to just blur the background, I just want my subject to stand out,
Mhm.
and I'm choosing a shutter speed of, let's say, 1600 of a second, because I want a very crisp sharp image with the background totally blurred out. That's the setting I'm going to use.
Mhm.
um, the only parameter left in that situation is ISO,
Yeah.
and I don't get to choose that. The camera decides what ISO it wants. So when we
Mhm.
look at the exposure scale and the way we are composing the shot, it's the camera which would tell us, oh no, you don't have enough light, you are underexposed, or you have too much light, you are overexposed. And camera is telling us. So why not let the camera choose what the right ISO is?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you put a limit? Do you put a
Yes.
limiter on? Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna come to that point, but thank you for bringing
Mhm.
that. I put a limit put a limit of 6,400,
Okay. Mhm.
so that in those situations, my where the higher ISO is demanded, I don't cross my limits, And in that situation, I might try and go to a even bigger aperture if possible. Let's say I'm using a 70-200 f2.8. So from f4, I might go to f2.8 just to get more light in. Or if that's not possible on a 500 f4 lens, I might go and reduce my shutter speed to an acceptable level. If my lens allows me to make use of vibration reduction, I would use that. And go for a smaller shutter speed and still use auto ISO.
Okay, that's interesting. That's nice to know some of how you shoot. That's good.
What mode do you usually shoot in, Rachel?
I think I'm a bit of a control freak, so I use manual. But actually, it's not that I'm a control freak. It's just that I learned on film cameras.
Right.
So I've just got used to being in control of my aperture and shutter. Obviously, we used to buy the film rated. So I kind of got used to setting my ISO at what I want. When I teach people the very first lesson, if they are a complete beginner, I normally put them on auto ISO. So that's one less thing to worry about. But then as they get more knowledge, I will take them off auto ISO. So they learn how it works. But then obviously if their camera allows them to put a limit on, then I say, you can use the auto ISO. But if their camera doesn't have that function, then I try to dissuade them from that, because I think it can cause a lot of problems on the high end.
Correct.
Particularly with things that are moving quite fast. It can add to it almost makes the image look blurry. You get a lot softer image, I think, if the ISO has gone too high and they've not realized. So I think it's important for people to learn how to use the ISOs properly. But then, like you say, when you're in the field, things do happen so quickly that if you can make things easier for yourself, like you say, with let the camera work out the ISO, as long as you've got the limiter on, then I think I might try it. I might try it next time.
There's a very nice video from Steve Perry on YouTube where he has like 20 minutes dedicated to manual mode with auto ISO. So give it a go if you have time.
Yeah, I will. I mean, it's one of those things again, as technology gets better and better, you might as well let the camera do more and more of the work. It's just like you say, I am a bit reluctant to let go. But I should, I suppose. Cool. Yeah, so I do normally shoot on manual, and I just set everything up. I think as well, it's a bit different, isn't it, when you're guiding somebody, because you want to make sure your clients are set up first.
Exactly.
And it's quite different from when I go out on safari on my own, and it's just my own time. So just make sure they're all set up first, and then I can have a shot if I have time.
It's interesting that you have brought that point, because when I lead photographic safaris and we start a new tour, the very first thing we go through is camera settings. Everybody likes to set up their camera in a different way. Some people are totally novice, some people are semi-professionals. So what we do is, anyway, we have a small group size, not more than 6 people in a safari group. So what we do is we just sit down and we just go through the camera setting. We make sure that we are shooting in RAW so that it's easier to process the images later on. We make sure that our memory cards are not full. Because we don't realize that when we go in the field, we don't know what we are going to come across. And at that time, we want the maximum capacity to be available whether it is battery capacity or whether it's memory card capacity, or so we want all the resources to be available up and running at that time. We also check what is the shutter speed and minimum shutter speed. If you can set minimum ISO, you can set maximum ISO. That kind of settings we do ensure we are ready with before heading for a game drive.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. I like to make sure everyone is set up before I take my shot.
Yes.
Sometimes I don't even get a shot, but that doesn't matter. Really, you're there to help people, aren't you? So when I go out on my own, that's my time, I suppose.
Good. Yeah. Yes.
So do you have any favorite wildlife photographers yourself? Sorry, I think the sun is really coming round in this room.
We can see your collection of books behind you.
Yeah, I got my wildlife photographer of the years.
Yes.
Maybe you'll make one next time. Pardon?
Is that Dr. Mandela in the background?
Oh yeah, we got Nelson.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got some more photography books on the floor because they're quite heavy for the shelves.
Wow.
So yeah.
I've got a book from my favorite photographer. Can I quickly show you the cover?
Oh yeah. Let's see what it is. I'm interested.
Okay, 1 second.
Let's see if it's the same as mine. Ah.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
It's backwards.
Yes. So this is from Natural History Museum, and the photographer is Anup Shah.
Okay, Anup Shah.
So
That looks lovely.
Yeah, he is British, Indian, Kenyan. I really don't know, but by heritage he is Indian. By nationality he's British, and he currently lives in Kenya. And his photographs are amazing. Wow.
Yeah, they look great.
I might have to
look at that one.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Anup Shah.
Wow.
Look at that. Amazing. How powerful is that?
Is he using camera traps?
No, he is using, he's keeping the camera on the ground and using remote controls.
Okay.
To capture the images.
Mm-hmm.
And in the recent times, I've also noticed that the eye level photography has done by many people. And what has happened is the thought-provoking perspectives are coming from top to bottom.
Yeah.
That is drone shots.
Yeah.
Or aerial photography, whatever we call it. And from bottom to top, like the one Anup Shah is doing, or Gurcharan Rupra is doing. They keep the camera on the ground, point it upwards, and with a remote control trigger, they wait for the animals to approach the camera, and that's how those shots are being taken.
Yep. Sorry, I'm just going to move away from the window.
No worries.
It's getting very hot. Yeah, I think that's becoming a lot more popular.
Yes.
Have you heard of a guy called Mark Drury?
Yes, I have. Is it the same person who shoots elephants from East Savo?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but he actually he lays under his Jeep.
Wow.
And I'd really love to try that. I'd love to give that a go. That would be cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'll show you one of my favorite photographers.
Sure.
His book. See if you can see that.
Oh yeah. Yes, I can. Yeah, but I can't read what is written over there. If you could read it for us, please.
It is. Oh, yeah, it's backwards, right?
Genesis?
Yeah, it's Genesis. So the photographer is Sebastião Salgado, and he's not actually a wildlife photographer. He's a he started off as a documentary photographer, photojournalism, but in his later life he went on to doing a lot of nature shots, and it's all black and white, which I really love, so that's cool. I really enjoy looking at his work. Unfortunately, he's quite old now, so I don't think he's out in the field as much as he used to be, but still enjoy his work. Still very good. This actually was one of his.
Wow.
Yeah, he's
that's really cool. Really cool.
He gets some very nice deep blacks, which I like.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, cool.
Any other photographer you enjoy following?
Yeah, on Instagram, there's a guy called Shaz Drong. Don't know if you've heard of him. He does a lot in India. I really like. He does a lot of underexposed images, and then so they're quite dark. They're quite moody. Does a lot of leopards, black panthers, tigers, but it's quite underexposed.
Sorry, are we talking about Shaz?
Yeah, Shaz.
Shaz. Oh yeah, I know him.
Yeah. Oh, you know him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I quite enjoy looking at his work. Quite interesting. There's a few guys I like to look at on Instagram. How about you? Anybody else you like?
Apart from wildlife photography, I also like cultural photography. I do lead cultural photography tours as well to India.
Oh, okay.
And Steve McCurry is
fantastic. Yeah, he's great stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if you have heard about David Yarrow.
Yes, I know one of his friends. I don't know him personally, but yeah, he does some nice work.
Yes.
Yeah, some good stuff. Just thinking who else. There's a guy, I don't know how you say his surname. It's Michal Basvano, I think. I think he's from the Middle East somewhere. He does some really nice editing. It's mainly editing, really. His shots are, I mean, if you can see his before and after. And his shots are nice, but then how he edits them, he changes the direction of the light and he brings out all the fur, the sharpness of the fur. That's quite interesting. Yeah, I think he actually has a Lightroom course which I've looked at doing. That looks quite interesting. Yeah, some interesting things going on at the minute.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I mean, the technology is supporting photographers so much these days that anything and everything is possible. Just your imagination is the limit.
Yeah, and your budget.
Very true.
Cool. Was there any other questions you wanted to ask about cameras?
Can we quickly walk through your workflow for editing?
Okay, yeah. So what I typically do?
Yes, please.
Okay. So when I'm out on the field, I will download my memory cards onto my laptop, and then I'll also download them onto an external hard drive. And that external hard drive will become my Lightroom catalog drive. So just so people know, when you put things into Lightroom, it works a little bit like a library in that your files are put into catalogs, and you can tag them so that you can find things easier later on. So when I get back home, then I take the external hard drive and I plug that into my main PC, because that's my editing PC, and I've got two screens. One is color calibrated for my lab, and then one is just an extra screen where I have all my palettes on for Lightroom.
Yes. So a quick tip for any beginners, the color calibration is really important.
Yes.
So that white looks white, black looks black, and gray looks gray.
Yes. And I have even noticed that even though my screen is calibrated, some labs are much better than others.
Yes.
I don't know if you've noticed that yourself, but I have sent things somewhere and they've come, particularly on reds and oranges, they've come back completely different. So it's worth just, if you want to get some really nice prints, it is worth sending off a few these smaller ones, and testing the labs until you find one that you're happy with. So once I've plugged my drive in, I've pulled up my images. They're being folders per day that have been in the field, just to make it easier to find things. And then just quickly, I open them into Lightroom, and then I start tagging and rating. So I normally use the star system. So I normally go 2 stars is, yeah, it's okay. 5 stars is, I really love that. I really want to edit that. And I'll go through like that. And then once I've picked out the ones I want to edit, then I normally take it into Lightroom Develop. And I'll adjust the brightness, the contrast. And then what I do is I take that file into Photoshop, and I do some sharpening in Photoshop. And then I put it back into Lightroom.
Wow.
And then I finish up adjusting the colors and whatever I want. Now, if I want to crop it for Instagram, I will create another additional file and crop it to a square. And then I'll take it back into Lightroom, and I might put a vignette on it or something to edit it specifically for Instagram. So it sounds like a lot, but typically an image could take 10 minutes. I recently edited an elephant in South Africa in the conservancy, and I spent a long time on it. I spent 40 minutes on it, which for me was a long time. And I'm happy with the result, but I do think I'm not going to do that with all my photos. That's too much.
Well, after 7 minutes, my patience starts to run out.
Yeah, I think 10 minutes is my max, really, for every day. If you want to print it out nice and big, I think you need to do some additional sharpening to get it ready for print. But typically 10 minutes. It's all good.
I tend to focus in the field and get a near perfect image in the field itself, so that we don't have to spend longer time editing it.
Yes.
That may mean that we have to wait for more time for the background to be cleaner. That may mean you have to wait for to go into the field in the right season. That means you have the clouds in the background. Or that may mean you have to get things other photographers may not be doing. So it's just a creative way of doing things, so that we don't have to process it too much. Coming back to the photographic competitions do not like over-processed photos. They want authentic representation of nature. They are the competition of photography. They are not competition of editing.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And I think it is important to try and get things right in the camera anyway. That's the ultimate goal, isn't it? You don't want to be spending, unless you are more of a fine art photographer, then really you don't want to be spending loads of time sat behind a computer. I'd rather be out shooting than editing, to be honest.
Exactly. So just to make you aware of time, we are nearly 56 minutes past. So we will
Okay.
quickly go through some of the questions we may have. Like, do you do
Okay.
videography when you are in the field?
Do I
Do
what?
you,
Sorry.
do you capture videos?
Oh, I do for myself.
Uh,
Yeah, I like to do a bit on my phone. I've tried a bit on my SLR. I think it's something I want to do more of, definitely. Yeah, it's nice for Instagram stories and that to show the environment. Yeah, we
yeah.
had a really good elephant sighting actually,
Uh,
just a few weeks ago, and I decided to video that rather than photograph it because it was
yeah.
just, I just thought it, I think it just made more sense at the time.
Exactly.
So yeah, I suppose video is becoming a bit more on my
Yes.
radar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I have started focusing. Recently, just before the lockdown started, I was in Masai Mara, and in the conservancy we came across a huge pride of lions. So 3 big male lions, about 7 lionesses, and about 25 cubs.
Wow,
So
it's a lot of
yeah,
cubs.
that was a magnificent sight, and I thought a
Yeah,
photo is not gonna do
yeah,
justice to this
yeah,
sighting. So I
yeah,
thought beautiful sun was rising. I thought, why not take a 2-minute video? And
yeah.
I just quickly switched to video, took the 2-minute file, and amazing. I'm really glad that I captured that video. It's still on my Instagram if anybody wants to see.
Oh, great. Yeah, go
Yeah.
check it out. That's great. Yeah, there's just sometimes I think you just can't get it on the camera. Or,
Yes.
yeah. So yeah, maybe more video might come in the future, I think. Yeah.
Right.
Nilesh, does
How?
this cut us off at an hour or does it keep
No, it
going?
doesn't. It keeps
Okay.
us going, but I just wanted to make you aware that where we are in terms of timing.
Oh, okay, okay. I was just thinking it's gonna cut us off.
No, no.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
what is your opinion about mirrorless cameras, especially for wildlife photography?
I particularly really want one.
Mhm.
Um, I looked at an Olympus a couple of years ago, was very impressed.
Mhm.
I think I probably will get a Sony. My
Okay.
friend who I meet up with sometimes at the wildlife park, he has a Sony body and he's at the moment he's using a converter so he can still use his Canon lenses.
Right.
But eventually he will purchase the proper lenses for the mirrorless. For me, I'm not big on technology and I'm not big into camera equipment. I'm not into
Yes.
keep changing it. That's not
Mhm.
really my thing. But
Mhm.
I am getting quite sick of carrying around such heavy equipment.
Yes.
It's the weight of it that is appealing to me in the
Correct.
mirrorless. And I think the technology it's there. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. So I think it's definitely not going to let me down on the technology side. It's
Excellent.
just
I think,
still a bit
Rachel, sorry to
expensive.
interrupt. I think you are absolutely right. It will cut us off after 1 hour.
Okay, no worries.
Thanks a lot for your time.
No
And I
worries,
will make this
Nilesh.
video available on YouTube and on Facebook and other social media accounts.
Yeah, lovely. So don't forget to save.